G'day mates, it's February, so I wanted to get this out of the way real quick. So prediction blitz, I make that today. I make the standard for news stories, and I'll just spread these things out throughout the day and the next week, so we get everything out on time, I suppose. So, presidential election, I'll start with that. As you know, this is the baseline. I have Virginia, Minnesota, Colorado, and New Mexico is likely Democrat, and I have Texas and Florida as likely Republican as a baseline. And I kind of want to add New Hampshire to the Democrat column and North Carolina to the Republican one, and I'll show you why later. First off, real clear, I have a bunch of aggregates up. This is the general election. National polling, so here we have Donald Trump leading by 3.5 points nationwide, and he has now surpassed his vote share in the 2020 election. So what we see here is Mr. Trump, he has his base, and that is remaining stable, and he's even expanding upon it. Biden, however, has collapsed. And that's because of the issue in the Levant region. It's because of the border. It's because of inflation. It's because of a hell of a lot of things. And maybe I can pull that up later. There are some polls regarding that. For example, Morning Consult did one regarding who is trusted more on what issue. And it's not looking good on Biden or the Democrats. So here we have Trump plus 3.5. Steady lead. Biden has a little bit of a jump here, and that's mainly due to this poll, this one here, and you have these three. That's why there's a jump right at the 26th. So that's when these were added to the aggregate. So what happens if it's a three-way race with Kennedy? Well, if he makes the debates after all, which is probably not going to happen. So this one is purely hypothetical. Okay, lead goes from 3.6 to 3.7. So doesn't really help either candidate. But if we add two independents, and you should add the libertarian one to this as well, then we find that Trump's lead expands to 5 points, just under 5. So what does this mean? Very simple. The more candidates are added, the more it hurts Biden. And you can also see Trump has had a floor of 42. With just Kennedy it's 37.5. And just between him and Biden it's 47. So yes, there's a little bit of a base that leaks away, but not that much in comparison to Biden. Because he goes from 44 to 34 to 37. So yes, just having Kennedy in there kind of has the Ross Perot effect, but it's not going to cost anyone a state. So we have that into account. So I'll just get rid of those three. Let's do this one first. Generic ballot. So this means you add all the House election votes together, and that's your generic ballot. It says Republicans plus 1.4. Well, that's about a point less than it was in the 2022 midterms, and with the Republican sabotage it would necessarily mean that, well, Democrats could very well win the House with this kind of an electorate. But that's a different video, namely one I'm going to make afterwards. So, Arizona, Trump as an aggregate at 47 with a 4.5 point lead. Which means that is a lean Republican state. So I'm just going to fill that in. Leans Republican. Georgia. Trump at 48. Plus 7 in the aggregate. Well, I'm just going to put that in as a likely. Michigan. Trump at 47. Biden at 41.7. So that's a 5-point lead. Slightly over it. I'm going to put it as lean anyway. So this is based upon polling, by the way. Not what my opinion itself is going to be, because polls are going to tighten and we're going to see that it's going to go either towards Trump or towards Biden, in which case it's going to be a close election or a landslide, whatever the economy at the moment of the election is at. If there's a recession, they're going to go to Trump. If everything seems to be a little more stable, they go to Biden. Pretty easy. So, Nevada, Trump at 49, leading by 7. So we can make that a likely state. We have North Carolina. Well, there isn't really an aggregate. This is 2023. So this is the latest one, Trump at +10. Well, there's not really much of an aggregate here, so we can't really say much. This is just real clear saying, like, North Carolina isn't competitive, guys. I'm just going to put it at likely. It's not going to be above 10, but they are going to vote to the right of Florida and Texas. That is my expectation. So, as we can see, Trump is already at 283, so that is a second term for him. Pennsylvania, 45-45, dead heat. So what we can see regarding this, and I really am suspicious of this one. Let's just check this one out real quick. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, this poll's bullshit. the Susquehanna poll's bullshit. And here's why. We know for a fact that Dave McCormick is underperforming Trump by about 10 points. We know it. Yet, in the poll that Susquehanna has, McCormick is outperforming Trump. That's not going to happen. So that's a bit of a bullshit poll. So what else is there that we need to look at? Regarding party registration should be another one that's very important. Yeah, so 44-44. That's not an accurate representation, because I believe Pennsylvania is a R+1 state. So you need to have at least a 45-44 ratio. So slightly underperformance on the Republican half. And you look at the important questions, and then it's regarding Pennsylvania. I don't believe that abortion is a top issue for Pennsylvania. Crime, yes, because Philadelphia has a lot of crime. Inflation, yes. Economy, yes. Immigration should be a big one for Pennsylvania regarding labor. But that's in this particular poll, it's not there. So there is a particular type of electorate that's being polled in the Pennsylvania poll regarding Susquehanna that leans towards Biden. So let's take that one out, shall we? Then we find 47 being stripped away from Biden. So that's I think we're getting at 44.8. You know what, I can do a quick calculation for that. And that's divided by 5, so that's exactly 45 points. Okay. And Trump at 46. So R+1. About. That's a little more reality based. It is that Pennsylvania, of these swing states, is the most Biden-leaning one. Here we have a tie for Wisconsin, so we're just going to pull those two in. And I'm just going to say this. Delta Republican and Tilted Republican. Now, I'm going to be nice to Biden, because he's a geriatric old man that deserves at least something. So he's going to get New Hampshire, he's going to get Maine second, or Maine at large, and he's going to get Nebraska second. There you go. So not really anything has changed regarding the previous month, and there hasn't been much of a change in policy, except for the fact that, for example, Mayorkas is getting impeached. Or by the time of his making, he should have been. But I think that's about something that they wanted to do next Tuesday, I believe. So there's a little bit of discontent there regarding his behavior. But at the moment, there hasn't been any significant policy change, which is bad for Biden, because that is one of the main lines of success that you need in order to win re-election. You need to distinguish yourself from your predecessor in a good way. And that is something that Mr. Biden hasn't done. So, there you go. 312 to 226. Trump is gonna, well, cruise back to the White House. And with this kind of map, you're also stating that there should be a narrow popular vote margin between two candidates. Going to go either way. It should be about 1 point. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to do the next predictions in a bit. See you next time. Cheers.